3, 2, and 1. Hello, I'm Kris.
I'm Toro.
And this was Push It, Tuck It. Right. Push it real good, tuck it real
Push
good.
it.
All right, so we basically talked about varying up a basic move such as the push/tuck, and how to be able to do that same move but do it a bunch of different ways to be able to vary up this basic move and keep it interesting. So first off, we talked about the basics that go into doing our sugar push. We talked about dividing into twos. Our first two counts, I'm directing the follower forward, intent moves down the slot. 2. 3 and 4, we're compressing to redirect, not just compressing. We are compressing to redirect. We talked about how that compression, that redirection, is more of a relaxation away versus an actual push forward. And compression comes more from the fact that we're moving towards each other, not the actual compression of pushing into each other, right? So we have into the slot, compress, redirect, anchor, stretch to redirect, right? Because remember, the purpose of connection points like stretches and compressions is to create a redirection of some kind, right?
Yep.
Same thing with the tuck. As I do a tuck, I'm thinking entering, I am compressing to redirect, and then connecting to redirect, right? We talked about with the tuck that we imagine our glass wall here. I don't want to bring that glass wall towards me as I tuck because that takes away the compression point, right? If I can do a tuck one of two ways. I can twist myself into, in which case we're both twisting towards each other, or if I twist it away, I have to keep this center point there. My follower needs something to compress into in order to do a tuck, right? I had a couple things for the followers on that.
Follows, I talked about in a basic sugar tuck or sugar push, we shouldn't be practicing with our foot stepping forward because that's an adjustment I make for my leaders. In my basic, I actually want my feet to stay pretty close to each other as opposed to purposefully stepping into that space. It is a adjustment I make. So especially when we do the tuck, I talked a lot about on this tuck, I'm not pushing down on my leader. I'm not pushing forward with hips or head or anything like that. It's rotational. So I'm rotating my body. I'm opening up my clavicle area up here. I'm not getting to the point where I'm going to compress my back and do weird things, but I'm going to open up here like a deep breath in, and then I'm going to step away from that, right? And what I'm doing is rotating, and my leader's stopping that. I'm rotating, and he's saying, nope, redirect. And that rotation in helps to prep me for the rotation out, right? So I don't want to be thinking, compress in, now try to rotate, because it's like getting a free spin without a prep. Instead, I want to prep myself. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to prep my body, and I'm going to follow that prep out.
We also talked about making sure the follower's directional intent remains down the slot versus taking your direction this way. Even if you don't step through, if you over-rotate the shoulder followers when you twist, you can take yourself, like if you just try and turn sideways like this, that can take your directional intent elsewhere. So make sure your directional intent is still going down the slot.
Whether rotating, spinning, stopping, jumping, I don't care. Going out.
So those are the things we want to make sure you maintain when we did all these variations. So we talked about, we started really simple. We did a hand change. We went 1, 2, 3, and 4, going across hand hold for 5 and 6. The big thing about this, because we also did one where we changed it on 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. These we talked about is the center of the slot. So we want to make sure that our connection point is the point that is the center of the slot, right? It's kind of like we're dancing up against a wall. That's our center that we maintain. We don't want to get into this position because this changes here unless I'm doing some sort of rotational lead. If I were to go something like here where I'm bringing that arm across the body, then that would change it a little bit, right? But for the most part, I'm trying to maintain the integrity of the connection point no matter which hand I am. And that's my responsibility as a leader to adjust my follower, not vice versa. Yes? Cool. So, another thing we mentioned with this is you should not change hands during a connection. So what this means is if I want to change hands on my compression, I have to change hands before the compression happens so that I can compress with that hand and then finish. Same thing here. If I want to change hands for my stretch, I change before my anchor starts so that we can stretch versus trying to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, or going 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, which kind of like throws your follower around because they lose a sense of support for a second. Yeah?
Cool.
We went from there to drapes, right? So we took the hand, we lifted it straight up, going 1, lifting 2. On this, leaders, I stepped into my follower space, making sure it's more so from my collarbone coming forward and not my head coming forward, right? Lifting that for 3 and 4, 5 and 6, right? You notice there's no physical compression on this one, right? I'm not going 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, right? I'm allowing this lift to slow my follower down. It's almost like this upward action slows my follower down, enough for us to kind of compress auras and then back away.
Bubbles.
Right?
Yeah.
Bubbles. How do I look here? So that was one drape we did. Then we did the follower's tuck, right, where the follower changed, that made the hand change happen. Going 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Again, I don't want to do it on a compression or a stretch. So after I compress and I know I'm directional intending that way, I want to change the hand and walk through. Talked about making sure that you're accommodating with your frame, so you don't want to think about closing your frame to make it happen or being too open and then trying to catch it later, right? As your body rotates into it, your hand is just preempting it a little bit. This is also real soft follows and leaders. There should never be too much grippy pulling or anything like that. If you're pulling, then you probably don't have your balance. We need to talk about that. Cool? Great.
All right, from there we did a little drape after that. Same drape, just going in the other direction. 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So as you practice this, just practice different ways of getting into different hand positions. Getting in and out, doing the tuck, letting the follower switch the hands there, doing a hand drape with the other hand. Just try and find different ways without changing the rhythm, without changing the structure of the sugar push. Get into different hand positions with drapes, tucks, hand changes, and whatnot. It does a lot to keep your dance interesting, especially when you're just kind of practicing or you're doing that dance where you need to be a little bit more basic for your partner. It helps keep things just a little bit more interesting and creative.
And follow first. Always. Yeah? Great.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.